Portland.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Remember when people were content to be unambitious, they'd sleep till 11, and just hang out with their friends? I mean, they had no occupations whatsoever, maybe working a couple hours a week at a coffee shop.
Right? I thought that died out a long time ago.
Not in Portland. Portland is a city where young people go to retire.
Never not funny, dude.
You don't deserve to be Americans. You offend your grandparents who fought and died killing the Nazis.
My grandparents are commies. The Nazis.
A vile Oregon magazine apparently played a role in an attempt on President Clinton's life. Perhaps you remember when Francisco Martin Duran opened fire on the White House last fall. Well, in Duran's trial yesterday, his defense attorney said Duran is insane. As evidence, he quoted an Oregon magazine found in Duran's truck after the shooting. The magazine is Answer Me, a hate-filled publication that advocates violence and murder.
From down on the farm, straight up your ass, this is Jim Goad, and I'm here to take your hand and school you on the sheltered Whitopia that is Portland, Oregon, a.k.a. PDX, the Rose City, and Rip City. A lot of people don't know about Rip City, but we're going to cover it tonight. I lived in Portland from late 1994 to early 2005. And I've been back once, and I just reappeared on the cover of the main weekly there, Willamette Week, owned, I'm told, by two extremely rich white men. And as a result, they never really touch on class issues. It's all racism, 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 racism. Portland is 314% white. Did you know that, Keith?
I'm pretty aware. Yeah, I mean, most of the people I know in Portland, they're whiter than I am. You know.
Okay, my name is Jim Goad. This is Keith Ewok Lee, and I live in a rented room on the outskirts of town, as Keith is well aware. The zip code I currently inhabit is 25% black, which means it is more than 400% blacker than Portland, Oregon. And do I ever hear about racism around here? No. Do I hear about it in Portland? That's all you hear about in Portland.
This is a fairly standard delivery run, Commander.
That's weird.
Given the military nature
slogan,
of the goods being delivered, it is easy to see why...
That's not even original. I thought Austin came up with that.
Who the hell? You know, I've always said that Austin is Portland with cockroaches. I'm not fond of Austin either, but keep Portland weird. And you know what? I don't think that's going to be a problem. Portland is mighty weird. It's extremely white, but screaming about racism and Nazis and fascists and sexism and bigotry and microaggressions and vegan rights and zines and... let's say I think they're disbanded. I think some crew from New York came and beat the living fuck out of them. Got a billiard ball and a sock.
Spectre lead, we're picking up scattered comm signals on coded channels.
Took out the anti-racist skinhead gang that, we'll get into this too, apparently had carte blanche from City Hall to beat the fuck out of whomever they wanted to. That's an interesting story. Ooh, do we have stories tonight, Keith? I was there 11 years, and it got weird from the minute I got there. Now I'm going to talk to you.
Alpha reached.
I'm going to go over the week that perished from tagging.com, and then we're going to read this article about me from the Willamette Week and correct it.
Cold start. Bandit mech at 300 meters. Look sharp, people.
I have visual on the enemy. Spectre, report status.
Engaging enemy mech. Continue en route.
We better hold here till you take care of the problem.
Negative. Keep your vehicles moving. I'm not taking any late fee over this would-be bandit.
We're holding. Radio us when it's clear.
Lousy shredheads.
Nav point Alpha reached.
Rock from the sun. There are probably...
Heat exceeding recommended level.
Enemy mech dispatched. Resume convoy route.
Rolling.
Service of a narrative.
Enemy detected. Enemy detected. Enemy detected.
Light vehicles moving up from the gully. Better kick it into high gear, convoy.
Where'd they come from? Weren't you watching?
Keep your poncho on, convoy. We're on it.
Nav point beta reached. Target destroyed.
The week that perished by attacking. The week's most appalling squall.
Enemy tanks eliminated. Let's get this wagon train home, people.
Convoy at Beta.
Triggered by Shakespeare, England's prestigious Cambridge University lost a little bit more of its luster by issuing a preemptive trigger warning to students of English literature who might make the mistake of reading Shakespeare and having an emotional meltdown as a result. The specific caution was issued to undergrads prior to a lecture about Shakespeare's
Close up
Titus
and form on me.
Roger, Lee.
hilarious,
Copy.
and
Roger,
the
Lee.
Comedy of Errors, another one not just in my
Enemy
pants.
detected.
Due to the fact
More
that the discussion
bandits, dead ahead. They're everywhere.
such
Keep
as
those tracks moving or I'll shoot you myself. Take out the designated target.
Roger, 6. Roger that. Roger, Spectre.
both plays are
Roger.
over 400.
Hurry!
Really so touchy. What's next?
Warning. Heat exceeding recommended level.
And thus might frighten rangers. Item!
Warning. Heat exceeding recommended level.
Focuses on the publicity of their Sackler families. S-A-C-K-L-E-R. Raked in billions, peddling
Target destroyed. Target eliminated. Enemy is history.
Take out the designated target.
Roger, Spectre. Roger, Spectre. Roger.
Nav
Sackler
point gamma
Dynasty has an estimated
reached
net worth.
approaching critical heat level.
Much of it from please. No need for unnecessary.
Target destroyed. Another one. Fight the death. Target
The Sackler
destroyed.
Dynasty has an estimated net worth of
Roger.
14
Roger,
billion.
Spectre. At the Roger.
Hillbilly heroin. According to the article, the Sacklers were able to foist the drug upon the American public by citing dubious research from the 1980s, which was later disavowed by its author, claiming that long-term opioid use presented a less than 1% chance.
Target destroyed. Another one. Fight the dust. Enemy is history. Convoy at Gamma.
Trying to drive, I'm trying to let my snake charmer here with the food. Give me something here. 1% chance of addiction. Has that been your experience?
No, not at all. It's concerned about coming forward with this.
I think you're. Wait a minute. Let's roll this back. You're intoxicated.
Sorry.
What do we got? We got Rick James levels. We got 7 different drugs. Like what are we doing? What was a Carrie Fisher? 2 dozen different drugs. What are we on tonight, Keith? Do you care to confess?
Like Gorilla Glue?
Gorilla Glue. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Ixnay on the Gorilla Glue. According to the article, the Sacklers. Great name. Jimmy's Moon Chain. Jimmy Sackler. Sacklers were able to force the drug upon the American public by studying dubious research and a 1% chance of addiction. They also have repeatedly claimed that since the drug is time-released, it presents scant temptation to addicts who desire an immediate rush. However, one merely needs to crush the pill and snort it to experience its effects in unquenchable blast.
Convoy has reached Delta.
Convoy is on station at the launch site.
Kovati maintains a mobile field base at the launch site. Our contract grants us full access. You can repair and rearm while the artillery loads onto the dropship.
Street heroin is thought to be a primary factor in a rise of heroin addiction and overdoses, particularly in rural America. One can make a case that nearly 250,000 Americans have been sacklered, while the family dynasty rakes in cash, standing over their corpses.
Yeah, that's the thing too about
shutting down.
God,
Initiating
fentanyl
repairs.
lollipops. That was the thing that I encountered.
I gotta tell you, Keith, you sound like you're on a fentanyl lollipop.
Repairs completed.
I am. They're pretty great, actually.
And you've never done crocodile?
No. I'm not saying I wouldn't.
You want punk rock? Those Ukrainian crocodile addicts. I mean, they take the gutter punks like up to the next level. Oh yeah, fuck you. I'll expose my.
Spectre Lance. This is station control. We show a lance of mechs moving in from the southwest.
But,
Somebody wants to keep this convoy from getting off planet. Our turrets won't hold them long.
Can't imagine why. Roger, Tower. That Rothgar powered up?
Affirmative. This is Captain Dorska, gunnery officer running projects. Reports weapons online.
Copy. Let's draw them in and you drop the hammer on them while we lay down supporting fire.
Acknowledged.
Detected.
Let them come.
Light spots on its eyes. You at one time were under the spell of the Golden Dragon, weren't you, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, It was deliberate. Got
Enemy
into
detected.
Heroin actually, and got because that became hard to get and risky because you had to go to kind of a shady part of town. It was dangerous, frankly, and pharmaceuticals were easier, safer bet, but not. As far as like physical harm or like putting yourself in danger, not so much.
Warning.
As
Heat
far as
exceeding recommended level.
Certainly.
Take out the designated target.
Roger. Copy. Roger, Lee.
Level.
I'm gonna do it.
Warning. Heat exceeding recommended level. Heat level critical. Shutdown imminent.
So, yeah.
Warning. Heat
So
exceeding
here's
recommended level.
what, I have a friend who just lives in the Czech Republic.
Two down. Target's destroyed. Another one. Bite the dust. Enemy is history.
Take out the designated target.
Roger, 6. Roger that. That's a roger.
Heat exceeding recommended level critical. Shutdown imminent.
He is in the
Shutdown
office for 4
overridden.
years now.
Shutdown overridden.
He's got charisma, which is nothing of political value, but it's fascinating
I'm back.
to watch when talking.
I'm back. Don't listen to him.
That's the last of them.
Target destroyed. Another one. Bite the dust. Target destroyed.
Nice working with you, Dashka.
There was an
And
election
you,
in
comrade, all
Czech
military
Republic
assets are
last
loaded.
night, and I
You're cleared
guess
for
a
lunch,
guy
Captain
was
Dashka.
sort
Das
of,
Vidania.
like bucking the EU or whatever, won, and so I was asking him what he thought, and so
The Corvati liaison confirmed our on-time delivery.
Because you asked me to talk while you took a piss.
Well, I figured it would be
That's
something along the lines of what we're talking about, but you decided to go into the Czech Republic. I have to say that clashes. That's like green socks with a red suit, Keith. It's inappropriate. So I have my notebook here. No, hold on. I'm licking the ballpoint pen. One demerit.
Gold star
taken
down.
Peeling that gold star right off your
Transpax
notebook.
Deneb facility.
All right.
Transpax is happy enough with our performance from last time.
Fashion tips for rioters. The website Crime Think. Well, you know what? I'm gonna interrupt this, Keith, because as I was taking a pee, I was thinking, what a relaxing, soothing feeling to get that urine out of your body. Is it more soothing for you to pee or to poo?
Well, okay. So I had a friend who used to tell me he was in the Navy. He was a communist who was in the Navy in 1947, and he used to
communist in the United States Navy.
Yes, actually, in 1947, it committed communist.
So what did he do? Redistribute fish food? I mean, how does that work? You're out on the seas. How do you be a proper communist?
Communism wasn't enough. He became an anarchist, and he would go.
You take plankton from the fat whales and give it to the skinny whales.
But he told me he used to fuck this hooker on some port of call.
Okay, this is a family program. Roll it back. He used to.
No, I'm answering your question.
Keith, the whole world. We're gonna start. We're gonna start a forum, and I'm gonna present right now. We're gonna have people guess what intoxicants you're on, because I could tell, and you're busted. Go ahead.
She always said shitting was better than fucking.
Well, that's a weird guy. But I also thought a lot of analogies I had as a kid. There was peeing and pooing, sneezing and coughing, and potato chips and pretzels. The potato chips, the sneezing, and the peeing were all on one end, and the pooing and the coughing and the pretzels on the other end.
Pretzels?
Fashion tips for rioters. The website Crime Think, a flashy and well-designed guide to destroying property, whether public or private. Have you seen this site? That's pretty much what it is. It's like how to smash the system. And it's a flashy and well-designed guide to destroying property.
I was gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that typical like Xerox DIY shit. This is like a high-tech. You got like New York fashion models designing this anarchist guy. Published The Femmes Guide to Riot Fashion, which in a glib, hip tone encourages women and male femmes. It actually makes that clear that we're not being sexist here, or we're not even endorsing the gender binary. You can be a femme and be a guy, but not really a guy, because gender is a social construct. But we're calling you a femme, and then you magically become a femme, even though it's not real in a social and they can actually reconcile all this shit in their fucking heads. What the fuck has happened in this world? Gone insane. Encourages women and male femmes on how to look fabulous. They actually say that. While you're causing mayhem in the streets and fighting the imaginary bugaboos of institutional racism and capitalist oppression. How do I do a feminine anarchist? With the current surge in political activism over the last year, femmes all over the world have been wondering, how can I participate in the revolution and look hotter than a Molotov cocktail while doing it? Look no further. We've got you covered better than a balaclava. There are several important considerations to keep in mind when assembling the perfect outfit for insurrection, including hair, makeup, mask, and which articles of black clothing will be both comfortable and fabulous. Remember, always anti-fascist, never anti-fashion. Oh, how cute.
Jane Fonda is a little slow on the uptake here. She, where is she with some nice, radical chic dresses?
Speaking of Jane Fonda, I just saw her name for the first time in maybe 40 years. She's saying she's not proud of the country.
I'm not, yeah.
We can't.
I like Barbarella.
Let's take down the banter because then it ruins the joke if we spend too much time between what I just read and the punchline. Always anti-fascist, never anti-fashion. All right, don't look chastened, Keith. I see your silhouetted head there. I've got to run a show here. Okay, then the punchline is next up. How to use ramen noodle spice packets as makeup in county jail. Item! You know what? I'm going to go soft with this item. It's 9:18 p.m. here in Georgia.
Are you being contrary?
I'm being a little contrary. Item. Insane artists for social justice. Contrary to expectations, the AIDS crisis hasn't yet killed all the world's performance artists. I thought that would have been a fait accompli around 97. You used to see them all the time in the 80s and 90s, but I figured the HIV got most of them. Just crawled up their butts and ate them from the inside out.
Aren't they bug chasers for a cause or concept or something?
Keith, I might have to call the police. You're publicly intoxicated. Contrary to an article titled "The Powerful Reasons Why This Artist Has Been Saving His Urine for the Past 200 Days," the Huffington Post spotlights a chick who thinks she's a dude and calls herself Cassis, probably pretentiously pronounces it too, Cassis, on her powerfully stupid 200-day mission to collect all her urine in protest of Donald Trump's tranny toilet ban. Even though she's a girl, Cassis is a 2017 Guggenheim Fellow rather than a Guggenheim Lass, because it's important for insanely wealthy private foundations to reward mental illness. According to Cassis, Jesus Christ, what is with these? I got to do a female to male urine collecting. That's a very specific impersonation.
They're just doing it. They're doing it on purpose. They're just doing it to spite you.
This was really reinscribing an oppression. First of all, there's the act of saving your piss, and holding your piss really replicates the experience one feels when they're cognizant of what their body needs to do to empty their bladder, be it in a public space or private space, and all the anxiety that comes along with this. It seems insane that I have to make a cube of piss for people to get this idea. You could make an Indian Ocean-sized cube of piss, and we still wouldn't get the idea, but we agree that it's insane. In other news of insane artists for social justice, a Slovenian artist with a face resembling boiled cabbage. You should see this. Well, you know what? You shouldn't see, especially in your condition, Keith. So, with a face resembling boiled cabbage, has been awarded top prize for hybrid art at the Ars Electronica for breastfeeding a pug and fertilizing her egg with a dog cell. According to the beast in question, whose name is Maja Shmrekar, she decided to breastfeed a pug as a result of the, quote, observation of zeitgeist through the so-called thanato-political dimension of contemporary biopolitical practices. It's hard to say these words while doing an accent. Let's try this one more time. Observation of zeitgeist through the so-called thanato-political dimension of contemporary biopolitical practices. Woof! According to a statement by the jury who awarded the prize, I'm not sure where the Ars Electronica is. I'm just going to do a British accent. Exposing her body to hormone roller coasters of false pregnancy and organizing the lab infrastructure to execute the complicated biotech protocol in order to create a poetic masterpiece, evoking the challenges of post-humanistic dilemma. Canine Topology is a true hybrid artwork with a profound biopolitical message
and is certain to bring a lot of discussion to the audience from both the art and science sides. Here's what we will bring to the discussion. Bitch be cray-cray. Item. Investor. Thank God white people populated America. Financial prognosticator Mark Faber finds himself in the cannibals pot after making comments which many people condemned without bothering to refute. In the October 3rd edition of Faber's The Gloom, Boom, and Doom Report newsletter, he committed the following unforgivable speech crime. Mark Faber, what are we talking about ethnically here, Keith?
What is Faber? I don't know. French?
You know what it is, but... I am not a racist, but the reality, no matter how politically incorrect, needs to be spelled out. Thank God white people populated America and not the blacks. Otherwise, the U.S. would look like Zimbabwe, which it might look like one day anyway. But at least America enjoyed 200 years in the economic and political sun under a white majority. When CNBC pressed Faber to defend his obviously fraudulent and deeply hurtful comments, he was impenitent. If stating some historical facts makes me a racist, then I suppose that I am a racist. Yeah, I was shrugging while doing that. The audience couldn't see that. I just want to color that.
Yeah.
Give you that image. He was equally steadfast in a comment to MarketWatch. I am just saying that progress would not have been the same. Europeans brought science to America. They brought technical skills. I am not sure the Africans would have done that. Somebody give this man a cookie. Item. The myth of false rape accusations continued. Why did this keep in the current year? You know, we fought the Nazis. We killed the Romans, I think. No, the Romans killed the Greeks killed the Spartans. It's 2017, and this still comes up. This idea that women will sometimes lie about being raped due to spitefulness and malice, which we have proved is something that never happens. I linked to an article I wrote for Tacky Mag called The Crying Rape Game, and never happens. It was called A Rolling Stone Gathers No Rape, which was about that Rolling Stone Rape on Campus article where the woman apparently got raped on broken glass for 75 hours by 415 blonde
450 Republicans.
Republican frat jock boys.
Voters, I'm sure.
But it never happens. It's a doggone difficult myth to eradicate permanently in this rape culture that openly encourages men to rape women every god-darn chance they get. This is why we are forced to state our firm and unwavering belief that a recent story involving a woman sentenced to 5 years in prison for trying to frame her husband's ex-fiancée in a Craigslist rape fantasy plot is simply untrue. It is our same dedication to placing narrative over facts. We have stated many times that we are narrative supremacists. It's not hard to search. There's something called Google. You should check it out. That forces us to view another recent story from Texas claiming that a woman, spurred by romantic jealousy, forced her 7-year-old daughter to falsely claim that the no-good, dirty, low-down, rotten philanderer her mother had been dating had touched her in dirty places as a flat-out lie born in a culture of toxic masculinity and iron-fisted patriarchy. Keith is too stoned to say anything. Item!
Well,
welcome back, Spectre One.
No.
Nice to have someone we can count on.
Can't have the dead air, Keith. Get it together. Get some coffee. A drug to cure xenophobia.
Enemy vessel group moving on Western Dock. We need support at Alpha. Over.
Moving to Alpha. Light 'em up, people.
Roger. They won't get far. Bring Calliope's online.
Accept a guilt rap for your skin color. Fear no more. They're working an appeal. A recent study.
It was the Mariner.
Listen to you. Jesus.
How we get into the.
So that's the end of the
industry. Yeah. And it circles back to the
from irrational resistance. We tease it out of you. Your skill, Keith. Get it together. Get some coffee. No, you had your chance. We can't have the dead air, Keith. Get it together. Get some coffee. A drug to cure xenophobia. If you're kept awake at night by unfounded fears of gentle migrants that are based in your own feelings of sexual inadequacy and your failure to accept a guilt rap for your skin color, fear no more. They're working an appeal for that. Maybe you took that pill tonight, Keith. Maybe you took the anti-bigotry pill. A recent study.
It was the Marinol.
Listen to you. The Marinol. Okay, so we tease it out.
Enemy detected.
Where do you get that? Well, I don't.
Enemy detected.
Okay, Marinol. A recent study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences says that administering oxytocin, aka the cuddle hormone, will lower bigots' irrational resistance to having their land, culture, and posterity swept right out from under their
destroyed.
feet. It may even relax them to the point where they don't mind being raped. You ever been raped, Keith?
So that circles back to the other.
You realize you're so high on
Second wave
Marinol,
is
you just
moving in on
admitted to being
Eastern
raped?
Dock. We marked both destroyers moving in to support their attack. Immediate support needed at Nav Point Beta.
Castle, let's get those stilettos in here. Double time.
Harpy, you are go for interdiction. Assume attack vectors.
Okay.
Roger. Harpy inbound on destroyer group. Contact minus 30 seconds.
You are one jolly good fellow right now. So that's the end of the week that perished, Keith. Now, you ready for
Now
this?
we get into the
Enemy
nitty-gritty.
detected.
We're getting down to the
Engaging a half dozen watercraft. Squad of hovers making for the shoreline.
Philadelphia. We're chomping right into that Philadelphia cheesesteak right now. I'm trying to think if there's any indigenous foods of Portland.
Enemy detected.
It's all sustainable. I remember they had a sustainable
Enemy
southern cooking.
detected.
Did you ever
Target
hear
destroyed.
those two terms?
Enemy
Sustainable and
detected.
southern?
Yeah, there actually was a restaurant that opened up when Lynn and I, 10 years ago, we lived in a
Okay,
condo.
so the audience knows.
Target
Lynn is the
destroyed.
woman. Your wife.
Enemy
Your wife,
detected.
how many years? That you make sweet love to
19
every night.
years.
19 years of sweet tucking her in and foisting, plopping your body right upon her. It's, doing the nasty, doing the wild thing, doing the funky Cole Medina with your wife. We just want everyone to know who you're talking about. All right, so you've never been to Portland, Keith?
No, but I know some people that have moved there.
You've been anywhere in the Pacific Northwest?
The farthest up there I ever got was San Francisco.
Farthest. Okay.
Furthest.
We're gonna have so many great sound samples
Forest.
to torture you with for the rest of the duration of this podcast. At the farthest.
Nav point
Okay,
beta.
that's going to become your
reached.
Baba Booey.
Take out the designated target.
Roger 6. Roger lead. Roger.
Wednesday in Willamette with WW. They're like very. Have you seen their logo? These two W's. Looks like almost like the SS Thunderbolts. Like very fascist looking.
Actually, I was going to say, like, the first thing I thought it does look kind of.
Harpy returning for refuel and rearm. Hope we
So
help.
maybe this.
Roger.
I'm gonna
Thanks
spin
for the
out a lot of
flyby,
theories
Harpy.
here.
Spectre out.
State the
I need
drift,
a new
I want to state
target.
this fact.
They don't get much
The
better.
intersperse
Target
where the,
destroyed. Target's destroyed.
Is he an author?
Enemy
If it's an article,
detected.
just a writer, or can you be an author of an article? I'm gonna check that.
Take out the
Authorship might
designated
just be for
target.
books.
Copy.
The
Roger
scribe,
lead. Roger
the
6.
scribe, who is to blame?
Yeah, I was going to say how blaming is the main thing.
Blaming. Okay. So we're going to point out the factual inaccuracies and just read and share with the audience this cover story because fuck, I moved up there in '94, moved out in 2005, and it appears that Portlanders are shocked that I'm still alive.
Warning. Approaching mission
Emerging.
boundary.
Whoa, wow. That's like a flower.
Metastasized.
Target down. They don't get much better. Enemy is history. Target's destroyed.
All naval
Shared
forces
on Twitter by
destroyed.
Joe
Harbor secure.
Cracker
Damn
Joe
fine work,
Burns.
Commander. Hopefully we won't have to fend off those pirates
BuzzFeed's
again.
resident
We'll see,
witch
Control.
hunting
They seem pretty determined to bring this place under
goofy boy.
militia
I think he
control.
cuddles with
It's quiet
cats in
for
some
now, sir.
pictures, but he's
Best
he's
get your
gonna
land
get
back
them
and
Nazis 'cause
debriefed.
they did something.
ASAP.
Roger. En route.
'Cause the-
Spectre out.
The things that his grandfather went through,
That's the second
at the
time
hand
we've
that
secured
those
an
Nazis
escape.
took his grandfather into rooms and did several unpleasant and inexcusable and
This
frankly
sabotage contract
unfair
is pretty
things to his
straightforward.
body.
We need to drop
So
their
he
power grid and take out the abusive
retweeted
buildings.
this.
The Black Cobra
Excuse me,
mercenaries
ladies and
defending the
gentlemen.
base have a
The
mix
title
of
is, well, actually on the
1990s
on the cover it said "The White Stuff." That's the title of the article, but
Initial
online.
Hey,
recon of the
Jim,
base
do you
spotted
like
a hole
the
in the turret
fact
defense
that
grid
at
north
least
of the
that it was
complex
like a
and east
play
of your
on the
current
Tom
position?
Wolfe novel?
If you head directly to Nav Point Alpha, you should get a good approach on the
No.
base without triggering their
I think
defenses.
it's probably been used.
Roger,
100
Control.
times before.
Is
I-
Bird
I
Dog
was
still in the
very-
area?
Even like
Unknown.
knew that
At
or
least one
thought
of the
about that?
defending
'Cause I
mechs
know
has a
you like
legal
Tom
active
Wolfe.
probe and
You
has been
know,
on
I
perimeter
think
patrol
if,
in your vicinity.
someone informed me
Bird
that
Dog
this
went
has been
power
used in
down and radio
700.
silence an hour
Yeah.
ago.
Wake up.
They have no
They'd say,
We'll
"Oh,
keep
well,
an eye
no, we
out
know
for
that.
them."
We're just being postmodern." So the title is "The White Stuff." So there's actually a title, a subtitle, and I guess a mini subtitle. A subhead?
Micro title.
A micro title. Micro head. 2
Nav
decades
point
after
Alpha
author Jim Goat
reached.
fell
Castle, this
from
is Spectre.
grace.
I'm at Alpha and have visual on the base.
From Alpha, you should be able to take out their main generator and drop their turret grid. The remaining objective buildings
Here's
are
the
in the
micro.
vicinity of Beta and Gamma. You may
Portland
need
is
to
often
move down
viewed
into the
outright,
base
but
to
Electric
target
Trump
Maul.
is a phenomenon foreign to our city. But the Bible of the Proud Boys was written right here. You get shit wrong already. This group, the Proud Boys from Gavin McInnes, they've gone out of their way. They bent over, done
Warning.
push-ups, done
Heat
jumping
exceeding
jacks,
recommended
megaphones,
level.
hired hay
Generator is
rides,
history.
taken out
Turrets are
posters, done
offline.
skywriting,
Recommended level.
saying
Nav
we are not
point
alt-right. If you
Beta
actually go to their
reached.
website, the first
Enemy
thing you see is we are
detected.
not alt-right. But they said they like my
I
book.
see enemy mechs.
Spectre engaging Black Cobra medium lance.
I suppose that I am
Lieutenant Dunn
responsible
of the Black Cobras. You're outclassed here.
That's what they're getting.
Stand down and we'll
Just
let you
speculate.
leave with your
I'm gonna make it
mechs.
clear that
Ha!
it's speculation.
We'll leave with our mechs, all right.
I'm going to
And
insert
yours,
a wrong
strapped to a
buzzer
salvage
right
track.
there because
Commander, we don't have to take out the Black Cobras on this run. You can take out the buildings
That's our
and exit
first
the mission area.
instance.
Roger, Control. I'm aware of the mission parameters.
The really
Target
bad picture
destroyed.
of me has the feature picture, and it was taken by Danny Liao. And he spells Danny
Nav point
D-A-N-N-H-Y.
Gamma
That's not how
reached.
that's what the caption says, but not in text to me. He took my picture in LA last week. He said, "Hi, I'm Danny." I'm like, "Really? I'm Jimmy. Hi, Danny." And he's a very diminutive, friendly photographer, but we had to put him up on phone books to take a picture. Okay. By Matthew, now it's Korfhage. I don't think he's ever pronounced it to me. I asked someone who knows him. Corfage is the
Target
best.
destroyed.
Corfage? Corfage?
Corfage.
Corfage.
Corfhage. We can go through every permutation. You're so fucked up right now, Keith. I'm concerned for you. Don't have any beer. Because you might go out and commit a hate crime. Finally! I mean, you're from Georgia. Well, how many years has it been? No hate crime?
It's the current year, Jim.
Jesus
Come on.
Christ. Fucking over 4 decades living in Georgia and not living up to the hype. Okay, this article starts right off with a bold content warning. Content warning. The story contains graphic descriptions of
Target down! Busted! Target destroyed!
Take out the designated target.
Roger,
ready
Spectre.
for this?
Roger! Roger, lead.
I don't know. I'm triggered.
Okay. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to zero in on hilarious passages. 20 years ago, Jim Goat was Portland's hottest new writer. It's kind of cool.
Eject
Makes me
me!
sad. It's okay so far. When he gave a reading of his first book in May 1997, fans spilled onto the sidewalks outside Reading Frenzy, the downtown
Warning.
counterculture
Heat
bookshop owned by
exceeding
now City
recommended
Commissioner
level.
Chloe U. Daly. They were there to get a look at the 35-year-old author with a rockabilly bouffant and a heart tattooed on his sculpted biceps.
Ooh, Jim, you're dreamy.
We got 2 mistakes there. I don't think this.
They don't get much better. Target
They have
destroyed.
his picture.
Roger,
It
6.
seems to be
Roger.
wearing some sort of Maoist or Che Guevara communist cap.
Objective
I'm not
buildings
sure what that is
destroyed.
now.
The fuel
I
depot
am
should be
like
close to Gamma. Run a
most
close sweep on the
reporters.
point.
Always qualify these things. It could be communist inspired. Maybe it's a simple fishing cap of some sort with which I'm unfamiliar. It looks communist to me. It's just a suspicion. Not
He's a
that
pinko.
Not that
They don't
he's
get much
responsible
better.
for the
Enemy
deaths
is
of 100
history.
million people.
Take out the designated target.
Roger, Roger.
Or the gulags, or the Caden Forest massacre. I'm just saying that hat looks a little communist. So, bouffant. That's a fucking pompadour, you moron. And a heart tattooed on his sculpted biceps. I didn't get that tattoo till 2001.
Warning. Heat exceeding recommended
So
level.
he's wrong, but I will take the sculpted biceps. Sometimes I actually, when I'm here alone in my rented
Warning.
room,
Heat exceeding recommended level.
I kiss. I will gently kiss, and sometimes even lick my own sculpted biceps.
Take out the designated target.
Roger. Roger, lead.
Goad was then a breakout name in Portland, where he lived for 11 years. The 2.5 years in the correctional system down in Salem. But,
Black Cobra's
the
disengaged.
Temple University
They
graduate.
won this
I'm
one.
not sure why they
Got
throw
it.
that
Fuel
in there.
depot is history.
To link me to Bill Cosby, maybe? You think? Graduate arrived here with a bit of notoriety as a creator of a crass zine called Answer Me that printed, quote, ironic
got no
essays in
more quarrel
favor
with
of
you.
rape and abusing women.
Disengage.
Because you've seen
We
our
are exiting the
versions of
mission
Answer Me,
area.
Keith, right?
Told you I was going to
Right.
salvage
That's all it
your
focused
map.
on.
Some people just don't listen.
Absolutely.
That's not what it focused. I mean, that's an error. That was not its focus. That was the focus of
Target destroyed.
one very
Castle.
small part.
Inspector
of one
reporting
issue.
mission successful.
There were all sorts of
Let's get a
articles about
salvage
rape
team in here to
the
pick
fourth
up
issue.
mechs and strip those turrets.
I'm scanning my brain here, trying
Salvage
to think
is
of ones
en
that
route.
would actually be interpreted by a sane individual, not a blinkered, brainwashed ideologue, as favoring rape. There was one by Randall Phillip that had the phrase "the encouragement of rape" in it, so that would qualify. There was one by this guy who used to be in the Church of Satan and do noise music that was called "Revolt Against Penis Envy." I think there was something, go rape them or something. There was "Let's Hear It for Violence Toward Women." But there was also interview and profile of Donnie the Punk, who was raped 65 times, first time he was thrown in D.C. County Jail. And people really found that heartbreaking. There was an account by Molly Kiley, who was a cartoonist, about getting anally raped. It was all over the place. But when you just say the whole magazine focused on me saying, let's beat up and rape women, you tend to give the reader a false impression. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Early reviews of Redneck, which opened with a chapter called "White Niggers Have Feelings Too," and uses the N-word a total of 76 times.
I love that one. Let me stop you there. I'm sorry, but I love the fact that he says nigger and then says N-word.
Yeah, because I can see them. I'm looking my left eyes on the N-word and the right eyes. I can see them both at the same time.
Yeah.
But it also used the R word, redneck. And I overused the word nigger, it depends on, I guess, your personal aesthetics over whether 76 times is overuse or underuse, I suppose. Yeah, but I used it for effect.
With the name, yeah,
you
imagine.
Don't you dare interrupt me. No, go ahead.
Imagine that.
I almost started raping and abusing you. I can't help it.
Title that uses the word nigger in it, that's just crazy.
I sold the book based on the first chapter. I'd written "White Niggers Have Feelings Too," and that's what sold it. I went around to 4 major publishers, and the one that bid the highest is what I took. Actually, we can talk about this too. One of the places I went was W.W. Norton, and the editor was Jerry Howard, and he showed me these 2 new books that he'd edited called Train Spotting and Fight Club. And Jerry Howard managed to finagle those into movies. I probably should have gone with W.W. Norton in retrospect. But, okay. So, yeah, N-word 76 times, but it was used right alongside the redneck word. And it was an examination of how they're both demeaning, but only one sends up alarms and horror. And the other one is used actually in this analysis in the first chapter. Most of the times it popped up, it was the writer, paid journalist, using the word redneck with impunity. Can you imagine a writer using N-word? We'll say N-word, E-N-W-A-R-D, and make it a young boy's name. N-word E. Lee. That should have been your child, Keith. N-word Lee. But anyway, so it's just pro-rape and just N-word. So, again, get a little bit slanted. Right. All right. And he does, okay, I give credit where credit's due because I'm an honorable man descended from the British Isles. We once ruled the world, and you know what happened, Keith? We Britons decided it was a good idea to feel guilty about that.
That was the problem.
But one thing, and I think people in the comments, and I'm sure they're going to get hate letters and everything, complain. It's like, you're saying good things about this asshole. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? So this bounces back, and there's backwash and blowback and repercussions and boomeranging and ricocheting in all sorts of directions. We're going to cover them all. I don't care if it takes 45 hours, Keith. This will probably be our longest podcast yet. I think we topped out just over 2 hours.
I got enough weed to last that whole time.
I think you need to lay off the weed, Keith, because you're obviously impaired. And the book was the closest Goad got to mainstream success. Yeah, probably true. When I went down to L.A. in the early '97 to record an episode of Politically Incorrect, that was the first and only time I was on national television. Okay, 20 years later, Goad has become instead a leading figure in far-right fringe media. Best-selling author Michael Malice, who was a guest on this show, and is guilty. He's responsible for the Holocaust, too, because he talks to me. Called him Godfather of the New Right. In 2016, Gavin McInnes, a co-founder of Vice Media, who later founded the Proud Boys, called Goad the greatest writer of our generation. Why, thank you, Gavin. Okay, here's the guilt by association. This is Proud Boy Holy Scripture. Reads a review of Goad's book on the Proud Boys website. This book could be our Bible. That was one writer saying it. That's not an official statement from the organization. But that probably doesn't merit a buzzer, but just clarifying. He also claims that the Redneck Manifesto is shot up of late, that it went through the charts. I kind of disagree with that. I pay attention to these. Always hovered around 40,000 for the past 10 years, but maybe he's looking at a different data than I have. Actually, after this article came out, it was like up at highest I saw was like 11,000 on Amazon. And it's currently the number 30 top-selling book in minority studies.
Yeah, that's great.
They quote me here, people see that Trump got elected and they want to know how this monster came to power. They come to me for the etiology of the disease. It's a sweet and well phrased and actually well enunciated line. So to know where the angry white men of the alt-right came from, it's important to try to comprehend Goad. There's a companion piece in Willamette Week this week that's about Chuck Palahniuk, the writer of Fight Club. He's a sweet, nice guy. And he uses angry in that article. What are these angry white men? And there's a picture of Chuck and Jack Donovan, who we had on our 4th episode, and one's giving noogies to the other one, and they're having the time of their fucking life. And then you look at the drawing of the writer. He looks fucking angry.
So, I might be nitpicking here.
Oh, let me nitpick here. Hold on, Keith. Host. Sidekick. They actually they misspelled the the photographer's name in the first one. It's Danny. They just fucked it up. But hey, they're professional journalists. I'm a Nazi lunatic, right? Okay. Goad, now 56. Oh, so it has a picture of me with the Iron Cross taken on the sidewalks of Eagle Rock last week. And it says the caption is, Jim Goad's Iron Cross necklace earned him confrontations with Portland anti-racist activists. Buzzer right there. That is dead fucking wrong. That was a gang listed as a criminal gang involved in murder and violence all the fucking time, and which seemed, as I said earlier, and which we will get to later, had carte blanche to fuck up whoever they wanted, as long as they called them Nazis. Goad, now 56, and I gotta tell you, and it was mentioned in the comments, for 56, not a bad physique. I gotta work on the abs. I had a couple sprains here and there, so I wasn't as... I would have liked to have been in better shape for this picture, Keith, but that's between you and me, and nobody else is going to know that. Oh, wait. He publishes a weekly column, a podcast, recent episodes include an interview with the editor of neo-Nazi website The Daily Stormer, and Goad's rant, wrong, about how the left destroyed comedy. You can listen to that. It's with Owen Benjamin and James Inman. I'm not ranting. I'm actually ranting more now than I did in that entire episode. This has me a little spicy, a little nervy. But, I've noticed that term, as a writer and a reader, you pay attention to how people use terminology. If it's something they don't like, expressing a philosophical or political position they don't like, it's a rant. Still writing books. He hasn't given a public reading in 5 years. Okay. Oh, we didn't, roll it back. A rented room on the outskirts of Atlanta. 15 miles from the Atlanta city line. I guess that's technically outskirts. You've been here, Keith. Rented room?
Well, I mean...
Wake up, Keith.
You're renting,
I'm renting. Is this a room?
It's more than a room, yeah. I don't know if that counts as the outskirts of town. You're living on a farm.
Well, that's not what I'm quibbling on the room. I'd say this is 1,500 square feet. It's probably, I guess, if you put up...
Well, he's obviously, there's this thing where he's this lonely guy living in a room with a dog.
Host sidekick, Keith. Power structure. You remember the time I arm wrestled you to establish dominance? Please. Let's not break our precious bond. Anyway, a rented room on the outskirts of Atlanta.
There was a bond?
Not anymore. I mean, the one I'm doing this from is, it's a small room. It's like 10 by 10 feet. The kitchen and living room area is probably about 15 by 40 feet.
Have you ever measured it?
Measure my dick? 15 by 40. You can just keep interrupting. 15 by 40 feet, and there's a huge bedroom that's probably like 15 by 30 feet. So this is what they're calling a rented room. His rockabilly hair... Oh, after surgeries to remove both a benign tumor, a plum-sized brain tumor out of my fucking noggin, and a gallbladder, he's taken up yoga and a paleo diet. His rockabilly hair has given way to a bald head and muted button-down shirts. All right. When pressed He was giving me the heat when pressed. Go dodges all political labels and party affiliation, saying he's a lone wolf. Not dodging them. I explained very carefully. I think it's a false dichotomy. That was the entire topic of our second episode, was that left and right are ever-changing, ever-transforming, ever-blossoming. They're flexible. And I'm not dodging. I just don't think you fucking understand that the left and right are an illusion. But anyway, he claims not to consider himself a part of the alt-right, although he did stump for Trump. I'm referring me talking about the alt-right. Those guys don't like me because I'm not a team guy. I don't identify as right-wing. They're wired that way. It's a team movement. I'm radioactive in ways I'm beyond the pale. That's not how established figures on the right see it. Michael Hoffman, a writer of anti-Semitic histories, wrong. Michael Hoffman has written many books. No Jew hating in any of them. Praise Goad's ability to bring his revisionist history of white slavery. He puts white slavery to a wider audience. Anyone listening can read my article, White Slavery Denial, and see if it's something that should be put in quotes or something that everyone should fucking admit to or perhaps be put in jail. Maybe we should just take it up to that notch. You can go to jail, prison for Holocaust denial in, I think, 14 to 16 countries. Let's make white slavery denial a crime. Two can play at this game. Okay. In the new rights media universe, Goad is ubiquitous. He's been praised by nearly every major far-right website. Far-right. Here's a question. Has Willamette Week ever used the term far-left? I bet you not. I bet you if you survey the mainstream media, not that this is mainstream, it's a rinky-dink fucking... last I heard, because it used to be pretty hefty when I was in Portland, 140 pages. A friend of mine says it's down to like 4 pages. But anyway... been praised by nearly every major far-right website. From white nationalist Richard... Okay, at least they didn't call Richard Spencer a white supremacist. I think he's nationalist. Yeah, he wants a white nation. That's correct. To anti-Semitic white identity blog, Occidental Observer. I guess if you say that... if you actually present things that Jewish people have said, and if you examine their per capita income and their per capita ownership of media and their per capita influence... over our culture, that means you hate them. Right? That's what anti-Semitism is, right? Or am I wrong here, Keith? Is just mentioning facts an act of hatred?
Yeah, noticing things is bad also.
That's actually,
that is hatred.
You're so fucked up, Keith. Man, I feel like throwing cold, like one of those Gatorade washes on you just to wake you up.
It's like the last 18 minutes of 2001: A Space Oddity.
Yeah, you're just like not only riding the snake, you're almost like in a K-hole.
Notice I said oddity and not odyssey, because see what I did?
We're gonna have to mute you, Keith. Anti-Semitic white identity blog, the Occidental Observer, to anti-immigration site VDARE. It's fair that VDARE is anti-immigration, or anti certain types of immigration. Not entirely, because Peter Brimelow, the founder, is
an immigrant.
Yes,
yeah, from England.
Yeah, and he's not against himself immigrating here. A former National Review argues that America should stay as white as possible. He had lunch with Goad not long ago. Ooh.
What did you have for lunch? Was it like a salad?
We went to a French restaurant, and if you want to know the truth, because that's what I'm about, that's my game. Outing all the liars. We went to a French restaurant in Toco Hills, and Peter's about 70. His wife, I would say, has not cracked 30 yet. And we talked for an hour.
Wow.
Had a great time. And they're just cranking out babies. And I mentioned it before, but I got to mention it again. Peter Brimelow looks like he's Peter Noon.
Peter Noon,
Herman's still touring. But I had lunch with him, so we had a great time. Talked to lunch, but toward the end of the lunch, I actually told them I'm not a movement guy, I'm not an identity guy, and it was like their faces fell. But anyway, that's apparently not important to the reader. He quotes Brimelow, and he says, his style is far too wild for the conventional pearl-clutching Republican types, and he's really too idiosyncratic to be part of any movement. Okay, wrong again, because that's not how they see it, and that's not how they see what? That I'm not a part of the movement? You just contradicted yourself. I said I'm not in the movement. This guy says I'm too idiosyncratic to be in a movement. And you present this as evidence to contradict what I said? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Jared Taylor, editor of white supremacist website American Renaissance. Wrong again. And I painfully. And the thing is, this is what I do. When I'm interviewed, I record every fucking last second of it because I know how these people operate. And I know none of them is as scrupulous as I am. I explained to him why Jared Taylor is not a white supremacist. We did actually a whole episode with Ramsey Paul about the term white supremacist. You have to believe that whites are superior to everyone else. That's the first prong. The second is you have to believe or preach or advocate that they rule over others. Jared Taylor satisfies neither prong. He's said that Asian culture is objectively superior to white culture. And as far as I know, he would like to separate. He would not rule over anyone else, but just have a white nation or a white state, maybe a white city, a white village even. Can we get a village, at least? Okay. But along with insisting repeatedly that people labeled Holocaust deniers are just, quote, quibbling over numbers, and white supremacists are mythical, well, I have said that they're quibbling over numbers. That's usually what they do. The people that are smeared as Holocaust deniers aren't denying that Hitler hated Jews and that his forces killed many of them. I've never seen that, ever. I insist that repeatedly because that's a fact. And white supremacists are mythical. I said I've never met one that satisfies both prongs. That not only are they superior, most extreme these guys are, let's get into the fucking hills and get away. That's all. I've never, there might be some out there. Goad cites studies that, quote, whites are supreme in IQ tests by far to blacks and Hispanics. I'm going to have to check the recording. I'm not sure I said far. The test I've seen, about 10 points on average to Hispanics and about 15 compared to blacks. I've seen that pattern pretty steady over the years. And I've always invited anyone out there who questions those stats to give me different stats. Show me where people score equally. Show me where Asians score the poorest. But just like our guests last week, they just say, well, those stats are garbage, but they never have countering stats. Isn't that interesting? What are you doing there, Keith? Are you having a burrito? You're like you're doddering around in the darkness.
I'm actually going to have a burrito.
Are you even listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
It's funny, there was another slam piece after I left Portland in the porno magazine. And the mistake these guys do is they quote my writing. And you know why that's a mistake, Keith?
Because they don't fucking
Transpac has begun a full evacuation of the facility until this matter is resolved. A skeleton crew is manning dammit control and has the Calliope grid patched up and functional.
Deneb,
so here's my
this is
line.
Spectre.
Although I hold
You on the
Mexicans the highest esteem of the crowd and noble, if exceedingly
This is
short
Corporate
people,
Officer Second
they
Class
tend to
Smidlin.
Lowest brass on the totem pole, eh? Don't worry, Smidlin. We aren't looking to lose this fight.
He wrote in his column in response to this year's
I have the Calliopes online. Radar given mostly static.
Shut down after its American owners were
I'll
accused
provide
of culturally
additional data for the
appropriating a
operation
tortilla
when I
recipe
can.
from Mexico. Yet Goad has not been totally shunned by the mainstream.
Okay, Spectre Lance, give a ready report and keep one eye on your scanners. We're expecting combined naval and mech aggressors.
This is Goop, ready to rock. Contact 900 meters.
It's poison to most who know him in Portland. Attempted interviews with Goat's friends and current publishers.
Target destroyed.
With the mention of his name. Now, what this makes it sound like is, hey,
Target destroyed.
Talk to you about Django. Click.
Target destroyed.
In fact, I know at least 5.
Target destroyed.
I'm still in contact with, so I'm not going to fucking answer that guy.
Target destroyed. Now
I'm sure there was somebody in
Alpha
Portland.
reached.
Perhaps a few. No, fuck him. It's Portland. This is one of those cases, and this is why I'm breaking down. I'm being Foucault, reconstructing this. It would make you think, nobody wants to touch him. He's poison. He's radioactive. Not the case. A lot of my friends are like, no, the guy's, Yeah. Anyway. That's not just because of Goat's current politics, but because of what happened here to the public.
Enemy detected.
Okay, so talk about the whole leading to jail and prison event, which I want to dedicate a whole podcast to. But, the bleeding, eye socket fractured. Actually, I've seen the police report. It said no
Enemy
head
detected.
Trauma. Interesting.
Enemy detected.
I didn't even look that up.
Target destroyed. Enemy detected.
I have something here, Keith.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? I've got Providence St. Vincent Medical Center medical report from 5/29/98.
Target destroyed.
Physical examinations, vital signs, left periorbital swelling,
Target destroyed.
closure of the left eye, but no internal trauma identified. They said fractured eye socket. That's not what this report says. That's really interesting. I'll have to talk to
I
somebody about
assume
that.
this is the infamous Spectre?
This is Spectre. There's some reason you need an introduction?
Dragonfly here. Just wanted to make sure I was swatting the right fly. I'm gonna make you pay for Lieutenant Dunman's rent.
You're welcome to try. Spectre out.
All units be advised. Militia heavy choppers moving in from the east.
Castle, any chance of getting Harpy in here?
Negative, Commander. Their dance card is full for now. I will update if situation changes.
Looks like we're doing this without air support. Maintain good air watch.
Nav point beta.
When police came for him, Goat's defense
Take out the
was that she
designated
didn't first.
target.
Roger. Copy.
Roger, Spectre.
Copy.
I didn't talk to the police. Only a dumb person does. The couple,
Cobras lost their bite?
At least he mentions
Your reputation had me expecting more.
This isn't over. Colonel Burr has a lot of friends. You will pay.
I need a new target.
Listen to this. Like, fall from grace.
Target destroyed.
Target's destroyed.
Take out the designated target.
Roger. Roger, lead.
Roger.
Sounds like,
The carrier
sounds like
Harkness has
religious.
lost 2 fighter wings.
Bad
Night shades
man.
inbound.
It's funny,
Over.
I bet you.
Roger,
I bet
Castle.
you there are no
Still tangling with the
very few. I
Cobras.
bet you maybe in
Detected.
sales, maybe the janitor's a Christian.
Enemy detected.
But it's funny how
Enemy
sort of
detected.
I need a new target.
was kind of
They don't get much better.
Target destroyed.
Target destroyed.
Enemy detected.
Roger. Roger, 6.
Roger.
Roger,
We'll
Spectre.
cover that in the whole jail prison episode, but they're great.
Target down. Busted.
Target destroyed.
Target destroyed.
Enemy detected.
Okay, because any quotes, let's hear it for
Abort
Bob.
operations. All units break off.
Prosecutors at
Return to
Residence.
ship for liftoff. Flight deck,
The
give
thing
me
that
your
saved Goat
fastest
from a
transit to
15-year
orbit.
sentence was his habit of saving phone recordings.
Target
Capes would try and
destroyed.
threaten Goat that she would,
Target
quote, stab you a million
destroyed.
times and, quote, cut you up into a million pieces. And if anyone wants to hear that, I always pimp this. jimgo.net/sound/an, ANNE.mp3. It'll work with an or Sky MP3. You can hear her doing much more than threatening to stab me a million times and cut me up into a million pieces. You can hear her voice. And it's funny what happens to everyone who hears that voice. Okay, Goat copped a plea. His worldview sharpened in prison. He's since spoken of both how arduous the experience was and admiringly about how prisons function as an ideal society. Not sure ideal, but better than out here. I saw fewer fights than I think I would see out here. Okay, people get along better than that. They're polite to another. It's as if everyone's carrying a gun so no one gets shot. That's not a bad line. Goat came to believe segregation of racial groups in prison showed tribalism was natural. Though the Redneck Manifesto argued for class unity against the rich, Goat now says equality of races is a myth and that racial separation is a natural order. Going to give a half wrong on that natural order because that almost sounds like one of these Viking websites. It is, the noble and natural order. What I said to him, the exact term was, my observation has been that people tend to self-segregate. That's with less of a value. Natural order. No. They tend to self-segregate, and I think statistics would back me up on that. But hey, this is about an evil man, not about statistics. Ding-da-ding. Or what was that? Let's talk about the white prison population being overwhelmingly white. The other thing that Goat decided while incarcerated, ? That his own suffering in jail far outweighed that of his victim. Well, yeah, I explained that. I've had the shit kicked out of me worse than she got it. I was also put in a cage for 2.5 years. Who would know better? Because this is sort of presented like that's absurd.
Looks
it's like,
like
well,
the
have you had the
hornet's
shit
nest
kicked
is
out of you?
busted
Probably
wide
not,
open.
from the looks of
Admiral
him.
Carrington is calling for the complete
Has he been to
destruction
jail? Probably not. Maybe on a marijuana beef for
Transpax
14
has
hours or
begun a
something.
full evacuation
So
of
who
the
would be better to
facility
judge
until...
whether being beaten up or prison is worse? What, Keith? 99.9% of the population?
Okay, Spectre Lance. Give a ready report and keep one eye on your scanners. We're expecting combined naval and mech aggressors.
This is Goof, ready to rock. Bad guys, 900
One
meters.
that got me rolled up from Sandy Am and over to
Enemy
OSP,
detected.
Penitentiary. But I, a couple.
Enemy
Nothing
detected.
big, one or two,
Target destroyed.
And why was that?
Target destroyed.
The time that we got rolled up, we gave each other black eyes, and it was. I wound up being friends with. They both shipped us off to OSP, and it was this guy. Freak is a bad thing to be in prison. That's like a sex offender, or just a weirdo that nobody wants to touch.
So they call it child
And,
molesters that or something?
You gotta. No, they called them chomos. Keith, you're interrupting too much. Dial it back.
I can't. I'm out of control.
Enemy detected.
Freak. Yeah, you're out of control. You might need to be restrained.
Enemy detected.
Actually, I didn't
Enemy
mention this
detected.
last week. When I was coming back from Vegas, there was a woman of color who was very loud and drunk, and they had to put her in cuffs and ruin the whole flight. She was screaming and banging the whole fucking time. Black pussy,
Enemy detected.
pussy.
Enemy detected. Enemy detected.
Book he wrote in prison, blah, published, like a pariah. 8 people came to the, well, it's kind of stated like a fact, only 8 people. I said it seemed like 8 to 10. I don't think anyone counted. Yeah, it is. And one of whom was Fight Club author Chuck Palahniuk, who, I guess, by association with me as well.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
He has his own sphere of influence within the alt-right. Okay, he says a good quote, a positive quote from Palahniuk. Palahniuk, Fallaci, and Udaley are the only Portlanders Goat speaks warmly about.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
Wrong. I didn't say a positive or negative word about Chloe Udaley. I just said, he asked me, like,
Now
who else can I
point
talk to
beta
about the scene in the
reach.
90s?
I assume this is the infamous Spectre?
This is Spectre.
There was also
There's
Counter
some
Media
reason you
Charlie
need an
to-
introduction?
Dragonfly
doors
here.
up.
Just wanted to make sure
And
I was
Pal's
swatting the
books,
right
largest
slide. I'm
physical
gonna make you pay for Lieutenant Dunman's rent.
You're welcome to try. Spectre out.
What's
All
interesting?
units be advised. Militia, heavy choppers moving in from the east.
Castle, any chance of getting Harpy in here?
Negative, Commander. Their dance card is full for now. I will update if
I'm not sure why
situation
they're
changes.
focusing on this
Looks
one
like
story.
we're doing this without air support. Maintain good air watch. Take out the
maybe one
designated
that
target.
just
Roger.
Roger. Roger, Spectre.
Copy.
Cobras lost their bite? Your reputation had me expecting more.
This isn't over. Colonel Byrne has a lot of friends. You will pay.
Target down. Busted.
Target destroyed.
Target destroyed. Roger, lead. Roger, Spectre.
Roger, Spectre.
Roger, Spectre. Target down. They don't get much better.
Complained
Target
about
destroyed.
Target's
increasingly
destroyed.
cold
Roger,
reception
lead.
like that.
Roger, 6.
Roger.
Roger, 6.
Yeah, what was the writing
Aerial
frequency
Harkness
there,
has launched
anyway?
2 fighter wings.
Just,
Nightshades
people who
inbound.
did
Over.
scenes about
Roger,
gay
Castle.
lesbian
Still
people.
tangling with the Cobras.
I need a new target. They don't get much better. Destroyed.
Target
Goat says he was
destroyed.
silenced.
Roger, 6. Roger, lead.
Roger.
Roger. Target
2004,
down.
starting
They don't get much better.
2004,
Destroyed.
Target
Okay,
destroyed.
wrong.
Take out the designated target.
Roger,
2000.
lead. Roger, lead.
Roger, lead.
Roger. Target down. They don't get much better.
Destroyed.
This would
Target's
have been around
destroyed.
May of
Detected.
2002. It was around when the Portland...
Enemy detected. Target destroyed.
Take out the designated target.
Roger. Roger.
His decision to wear an
Copy.
Iron Cross
Roger,
necklace
6.
caused him to be
Roger,
confronted by an
lead.
anti-racist
Roger,
skinhead
Spectre.
group called the Rose City Bobber Boys. Oh, it looks like one of their...
SATCOM shows area clear of hostiles. Looks like we did it again, sir.
Transpacs could have saved themselves a mint in
members of that group,
evacuation
the first
fees
one
if they'd had more faith in us.
I'm sure they're plenty happy either way.
Target down. Busted.
Target destroyed.
He blocked me
Excellent work,
about a year
Commander.
ago, 'cause,
Mercnet is already
he
buzzing
went on
with
that
the news
Vice
of
article. They don't
taking
have
down the
comments
Black
on Vice
Cobras.
article anymore. And he told a couple lies. He said it was not only an Iron Cross, it was a World Church of the Creator Iron Cross. He said the cops, or I called the cops on them, which is interesting. You know why that's interesting, Keith?
I don't.
Because their leader, Pan Nesbitt, P-A-N-N-E-S-B-I-T-T, is a confirmed police informant. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, there was a Nazi skinhead. He was in a group called Volksfront. Allegedly threatened Pan, either right before or right after he got out of prison. And what do you know? This guy went back to prison for intimidation, so Pan had to have talked to the cops. What is documented as a Southern Poverty Law Center that he got some guy, I guess some guy called him and scared him, and the guy went to prison. So it's interesting. I notice a lot of projection in the city of Portland. And also a lot of people who are screaming about cops all the time, but actually are police informants. Another one was Pig Champion of the band Poison Idea. About 400 pounds. I was told he got his name because he ate 10 Big Macs in one sitting. I was at his place one night, and he was down to his, he had $5, and so he didn't have transportation. He asked me to get him some peach brandy. I came back, it was $4.75. I gave him his last quarter, and then the singer of the band came in with an envelope with $15,000. It was royalties for, Pantera covered one of their songs called The Badge in the movie The Crow. And, yeah, so what's ironic about this is they did several anti-cop songs. The Badge was one of them. But when I got arrested, you see all the police reports regarding your accuser over the past year. And this girl was a little nutty, Keith, just a tiny bit nutty. And she went off on some other girl that I'd interacted with, and smashed her in the back of the skull with an axe handle. And what do you know? I'm looking at this police report. Who talked to the police about this event? Tom Roberts, a.k.a. Pig Champion, who hooked me up with this other girl that I'd interacted with. Funny how that works. You know, projection's a hell of a drug, Keith. You're screaming about cops all the time. These bobber boys, and you know they're calling the cops on guys for intimidation. And Poison Idea, who does all these anti-cop songs, and yet who talks to the cops? Not Jim Goad. These motherfuckers. It's a city full of liars. 2005, a friend suggested Goad leave Portland to write a book about NASCAR. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. You know, also those bobber boys have refused every challenge of a debate. Because I've always said, you get me talking to any one of them, get your smartest, because none of them are that smart. And I think after 3 minutes, anyone who's honest and halfway intelligent will be able to tell who the totalitarian is. And it's not your buddy Jim Goad, Keith. Wake up. Okay. All right. Proud. And then for Guild by Association, they've got a picture of the Proud Boys at a June 4th alt-right free speech rally in Portland.
Aww. So you're responsible for them too. Wow.
Well, since one writer said it could be their Bible, so I got to tell you, the three they're showing.
Hey,
really
I don't know if you.
Keith, I'm talking. I know you're on the Marinol. Please don't interrupt me.